Hello, welcome back. I'm Sage and you're watching 𝐊𝐴𝐚 TV live from Sydney. This is the Stocks in Action show. Let's have a look at the ASX 200 and the ASX listed stocks that are trending today. Though Australian indices ended their session in the red yesterday, the markets opened upbeat. S&P ASX 200 gaining 52.90 points, or 0.76%, to 6,984.60 after setting a new 20-day low. The top performing stocks in this index are EML Payments Limited, up 13.93%, and Eagers Automotive Limited, up 5.64%. Over the last 5 days, the index is virtually unchanged, but is currently 2.62% below its 52-week high. 9 of 11 sectors are higher, along with the S&P ASX 200 index. Information technology is the best performing sector, gaining 3.27% and 3.41% for the past 5 days. On that note, let us look at a few key global and domestic developments. Beginning with employment data for April, the Australian Bureau of Statistics, or ABS, has released April's employment figures. Australia's unemployment rate has fallen to 5.5% between March and April 2021, according to Bjorn Jarvis, Head of Labour Statistics at the ABS. This is the 6th consecutive fall in the unemployment rate, down from 6.9% in October 2020. The youth unemployment rate fell to its lowest levels since the global financial crisis, reflecting a strong increase in employment for young men, following a number of increases for young women in recent months. Mr. Jarvis further said the unemployment rate is now 0.2 percentage points, or 33,000 people, above the start of the pandemic, and importantly, it's 2 percentage points below its peak in July 2020, when it was 7.4%, he said. Wage growth and consumer confidence in the March quarter. The Australian wages growth rebounded from record lows of the last quarter, but was still far from the levels desired by the Reserve Bank of Australia, or RBA. The wage price index for the March quarter, a key gauge used by the Reserve Bank and Treasury to measure wages growth, rose 0.6%. Market is expected to take cues from the data in today's trade. Westpac consumer sentiments declined 4.8% in May, bringing an end to the last 3-month trend of improving consumer confidence. And the US Federal Reserve's meeting minutes. The minutes from the April's Federal Reserve meeting showed that participants agreed the US economy remained far from the central bank's targets, and some even considered discussions on tapering its bond buying program. Strong inflation data in the recent weeks has triggered concerns around inflation and negatively impacted the stock markets. The US waives Nord Stream 2 sanctions to build good ties with Europe. The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has waived sanctions on the construction of the long-time beleaguered gas pipeline Nord Stream 2 AG. The decision to waive sanctions came as the US government wants to build good ties with Germany after the relations deteriorated under former President Donald Trump. The State Department has imposed sanctions on 4 Russian ships that commenced pipe laying activity in Danish waters during April. Joe Biden opposed the US $11 billion project that is intended to transport cheaper Russian gas to German markets, and the US believes that the Russian exports could dent the United States business of exporting expensive gas to Germany. Gazprom, a Russian state energy company, and its Western partners are progressive in transporting gas through the Baltic Sea pipeline, and the project is around 95% complete. Well, on that note, let's have a look at some major news from the ASX listed companies from across the sectors. First up, we'll have a look at the big news in from Recce's 𝐷327 moves to stage 2 of anti-COVID screening program. Recce Pharmaceuticals Ltd, which has been developing new classes of synthetic anti-infectives, announced further results for the company's synthetic anti-infective 𝐷327 as part of the anti-COVID screening program. The fee for service program is a partnership between CSIRO and the Doherty Institute. The further stage 1B testing, which was highlighted as necessary by the company, has now been conducted by the Doherty Institute as part of the program budget. Recce Pharmaceuticals Limited was quoted at $1.09 Australian per share, current at 11:51 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Moving on now to the next big news coming in from Qantas. Reports a strong liquidity position in the second half of financial year 2021. As per the Qantas market update issued today, sustained domestic recovery is driving strong cash generations, and statutory free cash flow is positive for the second half of financial year 2021. It has a strong liquidity position of $4 billion Australian dollars, and net debt has started to decline. The group is on track to reach 95% of its pre-COVID domestic capacity for the fourth quarter of financial year 2021. And Jetstar underlying EBIT was positive in April, and underlying EBITDA of 400 to 450 million Australian dollars is expected in financial year 21. Qantas loyalty program is returning to earnings growth in the second half of the financial year 21. It has revised the assumption for the phased return of major international flights from late December 2021 onwards, and the company forecasts a statutory loss before tax of more than 2 billion Australian dollars in the financial year 21. Its recovery program is also on track to deliver 600 million Australian dollars due to ongoing cost reductions in financial year 21. Qantas shares traded at $4.66 Australian, current at 11:51 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And meanwhile, this ASX listed stock is also in the news today. Nufarm swings to profit and shares rise. Nufarm Limited gained as much as 5.5% to $5.16 Australian, marking its biggest intraday percentage gain since the 3rd of March 2021. The seed technology and crop protection manufacturer stated group total half-year profit attributable was 60.4 million Australian dollars, turning around from $85.2 million worth of loss last year. NUF informed that the half-year revenue jumped to 1.65 billion Australian dollars from 1.48 billion Australian dollars. The company shared it has experienced unusually strong early demands for products due to improved seasonal conditions, particularly in APAC and Europe, which will weigh earnings towards the first half. NUF is the second biggest percentage gainer in the benchmark stock index AXJO. As of the last close, Nufarm Limited is up 19.3% so far this year and was spotted trading 2.044% higher at $4.99 Australian per share, and this was current at 11:52 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Moving on to the next big news, ECS Botanics Holdings Limited announced today the launch and distribution of a range of terpene blend products under its wellness brand. Manufacturing and distribution are underway. A distribution agreement for 12 months has been signed with Qantas Australia, another medicinal cannabis producer. ECS is planning to broaden its list of distribution partners further to reach across Australia. And currently it has received partnership quotes from Relief Clinics, Global by Nature, Rena Health Products and Complete Health Product. ECS Botanics Holdings Limited shares traded at 0.040 Australian dollars, current at 11:52 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And meanwhile, this ASX listed stock is in the news today as well. Australian Agricultural Company registers upbeat first half and financial year 21 results. Australian Agricultural Company Limited shared the first half of the financial year 21 numbers and results have been positive despite several uncertainties. The key highlights include operating profit was 24.4 million Australian dollars and operating cash flow 18.4 million Australian dollars. EBITDA profit stood at 99.3 million Australian dollars, higher by 19.2 million Australian dollars. And net assets were 1 billion Australian dollars and NTA 1.75 as on balance sheet date. AAC's branded beef meat sales price improved by 8% per kilogram. Due to last year's drought and flood conditions, lower calving rates resulted in lower meat for sale volume in financial year 21, and this is expected to continue into financial year 2022 as well. Australian Agricultural Company Limited shares traded at 1.205 Australian dollars, current at 11:52 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Now moving on to the next big news. Advanced Human Imaging gains on collaborations with US firm. The shares of Advanced Human Imaging Limited rose as much as 19.4% to reach $1.88 Australian on the 20th of May 2021. The company shared it has signed a binding terms sheet with US-based on-device blood pathology company Jana Care Inc. The term sheet is to integrate Jana's on-device blood screening tool with the company's body scan tool. The stock has risen for a fifth straight session and is up 30.2% this year as of the last close. And at 11:52 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, Advanced Human Imaging Limited stock was trading 10.793% higher at $1.745 Australian per share. Thanks so much for watching. That is all for now. Do stay tuned with 𝐊𝐶𝐤 TV for more live market updates, and we will be back with more news on the markets, economy and diverse themes and sectors. Sage signing off for now.